All right, everybody, we are back with another lean. We're here to talk about last night's Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, the last episode before next week's season finale. Dream, how are you today?
I'm doing good, but I'll be doing even better once I get some Beyonce tickets.
Well, I'll be seeing her Saturday. Me and Sammy, but yeah,
Jealous.
we this was a really good episode, and I see we had a special guest this episode in the form of an eel, popping up all over Shekinah's leg. I think that was a sign or something. But
That
how would
eel
you
came right in time.
how would you have reacted? Because I would have been
Exactly how she kind of reacted.
I did too. Well, y'all sit back and sit tight as we get ready to review another episode.
So you know I got to lean in.
Alrighty, well, as I said, is Dream and I are back again with another review. Cortez and Love, they're on vacation today. They're out on PTO, but me and Dream are still here to give y'all the dirt, the scoop, and the review as we were all absent last week due to the VMAs. Um, and yes, so we will kick it right off. The episode resumes right where the last one ended. Um, Spice and Bam are still annoyingly going back and forth. And they both get up to talk, but sit back down. And Bam feels that Spice is projecting all of her anger towards Erica out on her. And Bam clarifies that her and Erica did talk, but not about what happened, and she's standing firm on that. She says she did speak to Sierra about it, and if what is alleged that Erica said is true, it is not acceptable by any means. And as they're talking, things just can't seem to get any better for Bam because Scrap walks up. And he walks by and he greets everybody but her, zooming right on past her. And they continue to go back and forth. Bam asks like what even led to that meetup, and so she kind of starts saying, um, what led up to that? That she called them together, blah blah blah, and she breaks up that Erica said that the three of them fasted, and she kind of says she didn't believe it, which causes Bam to start getting loud and going after Shekinah. And Shekinah says she's just trying to put out what she said so that she can keep it real. But you and I both know Shekinah was just trying to add fuel to the fire when she was saying that. Shekinah says that they claim to have fasted for Spice, but didn't fast to keep their men. Um, she used a different word, but I'm not going to say that on this. And Bam asks if Shekinah has ever been married, and Shekinah says, well, apparently you weren't married for the right amount of time either. And Scrap interjects and begins to talk, but Shekinah interrupts and says that he saved Bam. And Bam asks, from what? Shekinah brings up the jacuzzi situation from years ago and told her that she started off as a friend. And as they continue to go back and forth, Bam calls Shekinah an assistant to Spice, which causes Spice to get up and walk towards Bam. Bam remains calm, cool, and collected and doesn't seem to flinch as Spice gets up to walk towards her. And as they continue to argue out of nowhere, Shekinah just jumps up screaming as she sees an eel on the beach next to her foot, and she felt it. And she runs straight to her room. Spice also leaves, and as Spice is leaving, Bam is saying it numerous times so that Spice can hear her. Good night, wig. Um, from here, the crowd begins to disperse, and Bam says everyone wants to attack her since she is going through a divorce. Yandy says she wasn't trying to attack her, and Bam said that's what it felt like. Scrap jumps in and says that the same way it takes two to get married, it takes two to get divorced. He is fed up, it seems like, with having one side of the story out, which favors Bam. Scrap does not back down, and Bam walks away as well. Scrap said this is not what he came for, as he just came to have fun, and the remaining crew leaves. So, what are your thoughts?
I feel like Bam honestly wanted a moment in the sense of when Shekinah was telling the story, Bam asked what happened. She said, what happened? What even led up to, like, what's going on? So Shekinah was telling the story, and I do feel like Shekinah was telling the story correctly. But when Bam heard something to get out of the situation, I feel, to not hold Erica accountable once again, she didn't let Shekinah get to anything that Erica did.
Right.
Bam automatically cut her off, and she's like, well, you should believe us, da da da, whatever about fasting. Girl, no one believes that, and it's okay. It's not for anyone to believe. If you really did fast for someone, you prayed for somebody, that's for you to know. That's between you and whoever you pray to. So I feel like Bam was looking for a moment to go off and change the subject from Erica into something else. I mean, she did what she was supposed to do, I guess. But I also feel like Scrappy came in and it low-key looked like he was like, damn, what did I walk into? I'm just barely getting over here with y'all. I feel bad for Scrappy because he was catching some strays for no reason. I do understand Shekinah was trying to defend herself and whatever, but Scrappy, honestly, she didn't have to do any. They didn't have to say anything about Scrappy. But as far as Bambi saying that people are on like a hate train for her or like attacking her because she's getting a divorce, no, Bambi, no one is attacking you because you're getting a divorce. Honestly, she brings it up most of the time. So I feel like once again she's looking for sympathy, and Scrappy's right there across from her. So of course she's gonna throw anything out there to get his attention. So to me, the ill came right in time because I was over it.
You know, I agree with you that Scrap was catching strays. Instantly, I thought of that Nene video where she says, "Now see how I get thrown in it? I ain't even did nothing." You know, that's what I thought of and I wonder if more happened that we didn't see, because for Bam to say that she felt attacked by everybody when we only saw Spice and Shekinah, and then for Yandy to say, that I wasn't attacking you. It seems like stuff was left out, obviously, because from that comment, it sounds like Yandy was I'm not going to say inserting herself because Yandy hasn't been messy this season at all. But, Yandy may have been putting her 2 cents in. So for Yandy to say that, and then, Eric to come back and Bam come back and say, well, it felt that way, makes it seem like we missed a lot. I have to say that, and we'll get into this more later, but I do think that Spice turned up way too soon and didn't realize what she did wrong either. So we'll get into that. But yeah, as I was watching this, thank God for the eel, because otherwise this scene would have been way too unbearable.
It would have kept going and going. Thank God for that eel.
Oh my gosh, yes. So
I would have been scared though. If an eel touched my foot and I'm just sitting in the water, I honestly would be scared. Shekinah handled that very well. I don't know what I would have did.
Not only would I have been on my chair like Shekinah was, but I wouldn't have gotten back on the ground. I would have ran across the table and jumped over Bam to get to my room. As big as
That's a sign for sure.
Exactly. So in the next scene, we have Spice sitting with Sierra and talking. And now I have to say that I kind of commend Sierra for this scene because, being on the receiving end of some of Spice's anger the night before, I thought it was pretty big of Sierra. Spice would have gotten nothing else from me, just being honest. But Spice is talking with Sierra and wants to clear the air because she doesn't want to come across the wrong way. She begins to express what triggered her and says this when Bam asks who they were talking to. And Sierra points out that Spice started first by calling them fake. And I know when we last talked about this, I'm not sure if it was you or Love or Donald Love, but one of you mentioned that she was talking to Sierra when she made that comment about it. It was you, but as I watched it replay again last night, Spice did say y'all. So even though she was speaking, she was including her. So I feel like that's where Spice went wrong. And Spice just felt very justified. Like, girl, you can't get upset, and you started it. You threw the first shot. And Spice, and even after Sierra pointed out, Spice still continues to dwell on like, well, how can I sit down with somebody who's yelling at me who you're talking to? And then Sierra portrays to Spice how she was acting, and Spice laughs when she sees it for herself. Sierra says they all need anger management, including Shekinah. And Spice has been through a lot and is doing and saying things she doesn't even mean. And Spice says she just wants to have a good time. So what do you think?
I like that Sierra and Spice came together to have an adult conversation. They did leave off that night on bad terms. Spice did go off with them. She was trying to fight. So I do commend Sierra for being an adult and just having a regular conversation with Spice and being able to admit that they all have issues. They all handle things incorrectly.
Yeah.
So I'm proud of Sierra in that aspect. 100% different than how she was acting towards Scrappy and all those other people being in their face. So I commend Sierra in this situation, and Spice for her. I felt like she was speaking her truth and speaking from like admitting that she's hurt, admitting that she's angry, and that she may not be right and she may not have handled the situation correctly, but she's open to making certain adjustments, I guess. So I was happy about their little conversation.
I wonder if and when her and Bam do speak, because I feel like when her and Bam speak, it needs to be one-on-one the way her and Sierra was. They don't need an audience. And, you know, Rennie touches on that later on in the next scene, but here I notice on this show when talks happen one-on-one for the most part, there seems to be some resolution and understanding. But when there's a crowd, people want to put on a show for others, and they're showing that you're not gonna bitch, you're not gonna punk me per se, you know what I'm saying? You're not gonna make me feel little girl me, basically.
Right.
And so, and again, this ain't the first time that Spice was able to have a conversation with Sierra one-on-one, but when Sierra gets around Bam, any anger she has towards Bam, Sierra gets it too.
Yeah.
It's just like, so we shall see. Now, the next scene I'm going to break up in two because it was a long-winded boat. So, they get on the boat with the hopes of having a good time. And I don't know if you peeped it, but who was Amy walking up with?
Chaotic.
And Bam says she is hesitant to get on the boat after last night. She reached out to Erica, but didn't get an answer from Erica. So they get on the boat, and they're on top of that little net thingy. And Chaotic begins to jump on the net, and Carly begins to scream and cry and says she had a near-death experience on a boat. Now, I don't know about you, but I was so annoyed every time Carly cried in this scene. There was no tears. There was like, I'm sorry, those were not, I don't know.
I have a soft spot for Carly.
But you on that island alone.
I am.
Well, no, let me take that back. I missed Cardi the past few seasons hasn't done it for me. But even back when she was being messy like 2 or 3 seasons ago, I was here for it.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm not here for how she was being messy with Spice.
Yeah.
This situation rubbed me the wrong way with her. But I digress. So RASHEEDA, we pan to a scene with RASHEEDA asking Spice how she's doing, and Spice recounts her talk with Sierra and acknowledges that she gets triggered too easily and she needs a reset. Spice feels she was always on guard. And then we pan to a scene which felt kind of sad to me when you see Scrap just looking up at the water and he recounts, thinking of the times that he shared with Bam in the Bahamas, and damn, now he's getting a divorce. Then we get to Sierra, and she's saying that last night took a lot out of her. And Bam says she doesn't understand why she's going back and forth with everybody. Like, it's just, it's just too much. And so Reddy jumps in and says that the issue is that everyone is too involved. People should be able to talk to who they're talking to without others jumping in and giving their 2 cents. And, Amy starts to talk about, well, yeah, because I was out getting breakfast and she kind of tried to check me about this. And Reddy says, yeah, well, I told her that. And so Amy doesn't like it and says, well, she kind of tried to check me off of what you said, so maybe it's her, I should check you. And Rennie says, you can't check nothing over here. I kind of like Rennie. I like Amy too, but I kind of like Rennie too. And so Amy gets up and everyone else does, which causes who to start crying and saying she's scared over and over? Your girl Carly. That annoying crying with no tears coming out. And Bam is annoyed and tells Carly to shut up. They break up, Rennie and Amy, and the others sit back down and begin talking. Let's stop there. And what do you think so far about happened in this thing, in that first part of it?
I'm gonna say, let me say something about Carly, and then I'm gonna go to the Rennie Amy. I have a soft spot for Carly. I don't know why. I just like the villains. I really do like people who majority of the people don't like. But at the same time, in this specific scene, people do have fears of boats and water, specifically water. People do have a very big fear of like drowning, and people have had a lot of. It's been common for people to have near-death experiences with water. So I felt her. I did. I'm sorry. Have you ever drowned?
So here's the thing. And again, everybody reacts differently. So let me just preface what I'm about to say by that. But if I had a near-death experience with water, it's already going to be difficult for me to get on a boat, right? But if I'm going to get on a boat, I'm not going to go to the net part where the net could rip and you could fall under. I'm going to sit on the actual boat. You know, that's the part to me that made me roll my eyes. Like, girl,
I get it though, because you got to conquer your fear.
Hear me out. I get that she might have done that to conquer her fears, right? But the minute Chaotic would have started jumping, I would have been like, I know how this is going to go. Let me take my ass over here to the actual boat part. I get if this is the case and she's trying to conquer her fears. Kudos for that. But after the first time, I would have got up.
Right.
That's just
Chaotic's goofy. Yeah. I mean, but yeah, for that sake, I was like, oh, okay, I get it. Like, yeah. And if someone's jumping, you're like, okay, you need to chill out. Hold on. Now, Bambi, girl.
Because I would have had
attitude. Was being annoying. Huh?
And I would have had attitude if I didn't even have no near-death experience, and I would have had attitude if somebody's jumping up while I'm sitting down there. I would have been just as annoyed. I wouldn't have been scared, but I would have been annoyed. Like, if they're no, bitch, you got to stop. Excuse my English.
I'm like, Bambi, although Carly was annoying, like, to an extent, like, as far as, like, volume to me, Bambi, for you to say, girl, stop crying, shut up. Now, if someone would have told you're behind to shut up and stop whining about a breakup, not a near-death experience, about a breakup, you will be whining. So let's not, Bambi, I don't know about that comment, girl. Chill out. But as far as Rennie and Amy, even back to like the first couple of episodes, Cortez was going up for Rennie. And I was like, kind of like side-eyeing, like, I don't know about her.
I was seeing Amy back then.
Right. But I did listen to some of Rennie's music. Some of her music is good. I do have to give her credit. She's growing on me. And what I'm noticing is that sometimes the loudest person, in this situation, the loudest person isn't the... I just feel like in this situation, the loudest person isn't the realest, because Amy is loud. I feel like she feels like the louder she is, that she's winning the argument, that she's getting her point across. But Rennie doesn't have to yell as loud as Amy to get her point across, because everything that she's saying out of her mouth, it's not even an insult. It's just telling you what it is. And I feel like Amy, she gets too hot-headed. And maybe down the line, she self-reflects. But I did notice that anytime someone says something to Amy that she doesn't 100% like, she snaps. And that's something that she might have to work on, because it's not coming across very, very good.
I agree wholeheartedly. And, I haven't listened to any of Rennie's music. I'm not going to lie. But, at first I was Team Amy, and I still like Amy. But I feel like as we see more of what's transpiring between them, Rennie is the one making more sense. She's not going below the belt. She's being almost too calm when she's responding. Like, she's letting you know you're not going to little girl her, but at the same time, she's really calm. She's not. And people like that, I would think twice about, like, running up in their face if it was me. Because people who are too calm like that, they're the ones that are, when you get right close to them, they're going to pop you before you pop them, and you're just going to be on the floor. And Rennie looks strong. And Amy, you taller than her, but you skinny. Like,
right, Rennie is solid.
Yeah. So, but At this point, I am tired of their back and forth. I feel like it's so stupid. I believe Rennie when she said, "You're mad at me over something that one of us that I didn't do to you. You mad? You should be mad at the label. You know what I mean?"
Amy's
So
not
yeah.
giving girl energy. She's not. She doesn't seem like she's a girl's girl. She's
Mm-mm.
always trying to check somebody, and she's always trying to sun somebody, and that's just not cute. It's rubbing. And if that's not who she truly is, I hope that we get to see that. But from what
She
she's
do it with her
portraying right
sisters
now,
too.
huh?
She did it with her sisters too, and when they first had that first dinner scene, it was very. It's all about me. It's not about y'all. And I feel like that's. I feel like her mother coddled her. I feel like her mother probably showed her favoritism over all her sisters, and she's probably used to being the girl getting her way.
Right.
Um, so we get back, as we go back to the scene. We see Yandy telling Bam that she knows she felt attacked and that it wasn't the case. Bam says all that she is going, Bam talks about all that she is going through and that the pressure is too much and that she can have a beautiful time. Rasheeda says that is the plan and that they are going to do karaoke tonight. Because she feels sympathetic towards Bam. Because she knows herself, what it's like to be going through this type of thing. So the boat docks, and as they leave, Amy tells Rasheeda and Yandy that she's staying in her room. Yandy tells Amy some of the stuff she's done and that she has to hold herself accountable as to what she does to contribute to these situations. And you can tell Amy kind of thought about it. She didn't really want to just come out and say, yeah, you're right, but you could tell she thought about it. Then we get to see Jessica White arriving. And, she has a talk with Bam after the boat ride. They talk about, going to water and doing a cleanse. And she fills Jessica in on everything that happened last night. Any thoughts on this part?
I actually like this scene. Jessica seemed like a genuine friend to Bam in this moment. She actually seemed like she was listening to her and just not so much trying to get mad at the other girls, like, what? They did what? And you should have done it. No, she wasn't like that. She was more so caring about Bam and how Bam reacts to stuff. And I appreciate that because that's something that a real friend should do. You should be more concerned about how your friend is and how it's affecting them personally rather than what you're going to tell the next B or whatever, So I liked it. But at the same time, when Jessica showed up, I was like, oh, dang, where's she been at?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I don't know if I like Jessica or dislike her because I don't feel like I've seen enough of her to form an opinion either way. Every time I see her, her scenes and everything, it always feels like an afterthought to me. But I enjoy seeing her because she's a beautiful woman. Like every time I see her, it's like I love when you see her smile. And she's always giving good energy, but there's a part of me that doesn't feel like what we're seeing is unfiltered. I feel like we're seeing right now what she wants us to see. If that makes sense.
Oh, yeah, kind of like Jenna Lyons.
Yeah. And and Jenna gives you more still, but it might not be everything you want, but Jenna gives you more. But I don't know enough about her to the point where I am interested if she was to come back next season, like for them to center around her more.
Yeah.
Well, I definitely feel like she might have caught the short end of the stick. They might have filmed more, but she might have caught the short end of the stick with all the Spice and Erica drama, and Bam is Scrap. I feel like those two situations kind of eclipsed this whole season.
Yeah.
So all her footage may not have been shown. So on the final scene, they arrive at karaoke night, and as you see everybody sitting down, they're all on separate sides, clicked up, avoiding each other. Rennie and Yandy talk about earlier in the day. Then we see Scrap talking about what happened and is not understanding why everything that happened went straight to divorce. Like he didn't get no chance to fix that, nothing. He didn't get a chance to make it right, which I hope he understands that it wasn't just straight to divorce. He had a chance to make it right the 99 other times he screwed up. And then Yandy is annoyed that the group is separated. She calls Bam and the rest of them over. Bam is skeptical but walks over. They yell out to Shekinah, but she stays away, saying she has to make a phone call. Then we see Chaotic starting a game where they have to say something nice about people. I forgot who. Shekinah said something nice about Jessica. No, who's Shekinah said something? Rennie. Shekinah said something about Rennie, about her music and her strength and all that. And then Rennie says that she loves how strong Jessica is, even though she doesn't really know her, but she followed everything she went through on social media and the blogs, and you have to be a strong woman to go through all of that. Jessica says that she appreciates the woman Sierra is. Chaotic then jumps in as things are going nice and smooth and says that Amy and Rennie got to get rid of their tension. So Rennie starts it off, and she says that Amy starts it off, right? Amy says,
"No, I think Rennie did. Did she?"
Rennie did, and then Amy says that and Amy says the conversation at the woman's empowerment wasn't sincere because it wasn't on her heart. And I think Rennie said that. I'm sorry. And then Rennie says they have to have a real conversation. And Rennie said her first impression of Amy left a really bad taste in her mouth. And they go back and forth, and suffice it to say, they seem to end up with a better understanding this time. It seems to have been a sincere dialogue just now. So, excuse me. Ooh, my allergies. And so then Kirk and Rasheeda walk up, and they begin to have a really good time doing karaoke. I don't know what Yandy was singing.
Oh, she was trying to patois.
Yes, I don't know what that. So I'm gonna stop here before we go on to the next scene about Bam and Scrap, because that's gonna close out the scene. But this pretty much segues into that. So, what did you think about this?
I thought that I'm happy that Yandy told Amy prior to the karaoke night that she low-key is kind of ruining the trip, because I do feel like you do need to tell your friends sometimes, like, girl, you're tripping. Like, it's affecting everybody at this point. Like, come on. So, which helped encourage Amy to have that conversation with Rennie and be cordial. I'm happy that they were just having a cordial conversation and being straight up with each other. But I feel like Amy said a whole bunch of nothing. And I feel like Rennie was the one who was actually letting her know, like, girl, you hit me below the belt. We're talking mess. Like, you were saying that I'm a this, I'm a that, a this, a that, and you're trying to do this to me and yada yada. And I'm trying to have a conversation, get down to what it really is, the root of it.
Do you ever notice that, like, and I notice this more when Rennie is talking to Amy than anything, but whenever Rennie is talking to Amy and get her point across, like when Rennie was saying, I came there with good energy, I didn't want that, and Amy realized, I did too. Like, it's like like Amy's always trying to one up her, and like whatever she's saying or interrupt her. It just seems so condescending, or like Amy's energy always seems off to me when it comes to Rennie. Like, even when Rennie's trying to be sincere and say something, like you say, I agree with you 1,000,000% that Amy said a bunch of stuff she didn't really mean.
So a whole bunch of nothing.
Yeah.
Because if that was the case, I mean, she wouldn't have apologized during that moment. I mean, Rennie wasn't. She was gonna keep whatever energy, but I'm happy that Rennie got whatever she needed off her chest, and that it was kind of receptive. You could tell that Amy was kind of thinking about it, and she was kind of questioning. I felt like when Rennie was talking, Amy was waiting for Rennie to say something that she
said. That's what I was trying to say. It's like she's sitting already. You hit it on the head.
Yeah, and it's like, girl, no, that's too toxic of energy to just want to be around. No one, if you keep it up, or I feel like if people are like that constantly or consistently, people are gonna stop inviting you places because you're sucking all the energy. No one can have a conversation with you and your apologies are fake. But
you hit something on the head too. I'm sorry. When you said that you could see like Amy thinking, I don't necessarily think that Amy was thinking too much about what Rennie was saying. I think Amy was more thinking of Yandy being there and the others, and how is her response is going to look to everybody else. I feel like if it was just her and Rennie, like in a restaurant setting, that conversation may not have gone so well. But at this point,
that's what it is. Amy I'm not going to say she don't have a backbone, because she does have a backbone, but she said the apology the first time she didn't do it for herself. She did it for everyone else. And I feel like that conversation that she's having with Rennie, she was doing it for everyone else. I don't feel like she actually wants to bury the hatchet. because even in the confessional, she was giving shade, saying something about something. What'd she say? Rennie got finessed 2 times. Like she put in that
but that
her
was
ex's name.
But she said that before they had the talk.
Right. But after the talk, she said something else. Like I'm trying to figure out the right word for it, but either way, don't trust Amy.
This ain't over. You could tell that Rennie definitely thinks it's a dumb beef, and you could tell Rennie is sincere. Like, I don't want to talk about this no more. Like,
she won me over this episode. Even when she said to Jessica, I was like, oh wow, like that was deep. That was really nice. Like, oh, even though I don't know you,
I agree with you.
I was like, okay, Rennie.
She really.
Yeah, I eat what I said. Shit.
She really got me. So, you know, as everyone's doing karaoke, Kirk notices Scrap and asks if he'd be open to talking to Bam. And then Kirk goes over to Bam and asks her about talking to Scrap. And as he's still trying to talk to her and convince her, Yandy brings Scrap over and leaves them to talk. Now, I ain't gonna lie, I was a little touched by this scene because everything felt sincere to me. I almost teared up a little bit, but I'm a G. I ain't going, you know, saying too much. But Scrap begins by apologizing and telling Bam how much he really loves and appreciates her. Tells her she's a good mom and a good person. He apologizes for hurting her heart, and he admits his ego and what he wanted out of a relationship is what caused him to act out. He knows he should have handled it different. He says he felt Bam was a person for him. Bam says that she loves him and she always will. And her voice begins to crack when she says it really isn't easy for her. That's when I started getting a little... Because even though she annoys me, this was real to me. She says that he didn't give her enough grace for what she had to go through. You know, Scrap interrupts her and tells her she isn't perfect, but that she's a blessing. And, you know, holds her hand. He looks her in the eyes and says he loves her and he gave her his heart and that she changed his life. She leaned in and hugged him. Bam has tears, and we can also see that Scrap's eyes are teary as well. He tells her again that he loves her, and he says it feels good to be able to touch her and tell her that he loves her and takes accountability for what he's done. It looks like he's kind of waiting for Bam to say more, but she just stays quiet. I feel like trying to soak everything, and I feel like he walked away before he started crying in front of her.
Yeah.
And then Bam walks away the same way, and then that is the end of the episode. So what did you think about this?
Before I get to their conversation, I always think it's weird when I see Bambi and Kirk have any conversations. It just makes me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, go back to the
Every time I'm like, why is he... Like when Rasheeda gave Kirk the phone to call Bambi on FaceTime, I'm like, girl.
Why didn't you call him? Why didn't Rasheeda should have called her, but, you know.
So I'm like, Scrappy, this was an emotional scene. It was very nice and it was very needed. I love seeing men be vulnerable, and I also love seeing men holding themselves accountable.
Mm-hmm.
He is not the best. We know that. We know Scrappy was just cheating and doing all this nonsense and saying all types of crazy stuff about Bam. But during this time, I'm happy that he gave... I feel like this is kind of like closure in a way, because he told her where they went wrong or what he did. I take ownership for it. I'm sorry. Like, I know that we're going through this. I love you and I always love you. That's it, pretty much. Bam was... I felt bad. It was like a bittersweet. It was a bittersweet moment. I'm happy they finally had a conversation that wasn't yelling. I'm happy that they could actually express their feelings to each other, because it seemed like their communication wasn't there and it was always on some chaos stuff. So I'm happy that Scrap was able to express that. However, it's a little bit too late. And I feel like that's what Bam was like, why Bam just gave him a hug, because I think she appreciated what he was saying, because she needed to hear that. Like, she's not crazy, or like she wasn't overreacting, you know. So I don't know, it's just bittersweet, and I'm happy that Bam stayed strong and she didn't let that little I'm sorry, even though it was like passionate and it was real, she didn't let that sway her.
She was tempted.
You could she said, "Give me a." If she did not hug him, I knew she was gonna start crying, like even more, saying, "I love you. Let's try again." Like, no, girl.
Yeah.
I'm happy she stayed strong.
So this was one of those things that I always tell you guys that I love how Love and Hip Hop will throw something serious and sentimental in there, and it's not always just the arguing and you know. And I really appreciated this scene, like you say, it was really nice to see Scrap man up and own his part, and Bam deserved that. Um, Regardless of how I may feel about her at times, she definitely deserved that apology from him. And what I really hope comes from this is, like you say, that it was closure, and that this can open the door for them to be good co-parents. But again, was it really closure? Because they're not divorced yet, right?
Are they?
When we started doing these reviews at the beginning of the season, they still were not divorced. They
Yeah,
still.
because then on the scene he said something like, "Oh, next week we're supposed to go as." Wait a minute, hold on.
So
But
and
let me not say anything, because when people get married, I feel like marriage is versus girlfriend boyfriend. Those are two different levels.
things. Yes.
So
We
I mean,
can't.
if they do decide to try or whatever, I can't even be mad. I mean, they're married.
But
That's how I feel about it.
It goes back to what we had said. Well, this is already filmed and wrapped, and when the BET Awards happened, he was there with Diamond. So I just don't
But
know.
they also performed together, I think. So it's kind of like, I don't know,
But
was he really there with them?
yeah, I don't. They were on the carpet together, so I don't know. But
yeah,
I guess for me, time will tell. Like you say, marriage is definitely different than boyfriend or girlfriend, especially when 3 children are involved. And Scrap, from what we see and hear from Bam, I guess financially he may not be the best father, but you definitely know that he is a father figure. Like, he definitely loves his kids and tries to be there for them.
I think it's his son's birthday today.
Yeah.
He posted.
Really? I don't follow him.
Shout out to his kid.
But yeah, we shall see. So everyone, please tune in next week to the finale. We will be doing it live right after the episode. And that will be live, and then the reunions, we'll do them live right after the episodes as well. So thank you so much, Dream, for your time. And next week, hopefully, we'll be joined by Cortez and Dom. But if not, Dream and I will be here giving you all the dirt on this wonderful finale. You got the double D today.
Yes.
But thank you again. Everybody have a good night, and lean out.